We told you, we are your election headquarters, and we're making sure that as the governing New Patriotic Party launches its manifesto for the elections, general elections 2020, we are right there. But before then, we will have to preview it, bring you great discussions around it before the main event, and even after, we'll be right here. But as we do that, let's go to the MPP stable, speak to the Director of Communications of the party, Yaw Buaben, who is online to speak to us. Good morning to you, Mr. Buaben. And I know that this is a great time for the party. This one also just comes some few days after the Vice President had that great town hall meeting. Coincidentally, also, looks like it's opportune, isn't it?
I think what the Vice President did feeds into what we are going to outdoor tomorrow, and that is our manifesto for the 2020 election, but more importantly, looking at what we seek to do going forward into 2024. So over the 2020 to 2024 period, what do we do to consolidate what we have done between 2017 and 2020? That will be the focus of what we do. I like you saying that this is a great time for the party. Indeed, the party, which is the mother of the government, and clearly, whilst we are in charge, the government being the main instrument, has demonstrated that it is willing to lead, deliver on the difficult issues, and listen at the same time. Because public policy is a multi-headed animal. And that animal, you seek to take advantage of as many heads as possible at any given time. But people also fall through the cracks. We've governed in the expectation that the difficult decision, which we need to move the majority of the people, will also create cracks that a few fall into. And therefore, you do vulnerability nets to try and catch as many people as possible. But it's an agenda in progress, and we want the opportunity. We are seeking the opportunity. We are asking for the opportunity in all humility to continue with what we've started.
Now, what really is a feeling within the party about the relationship, if not the link with government and then the party? Knowing that many of your officers, key people in leadership, transition from the administrative, if not also the structure of the party setup?
It's like Chinese sweet and sour sauce. This government probably is the one that has incorporated the most people with party backgrounds in appointments into leadership. If you have CEOs who have an understanding of the party's philosophy, they'll do better. So right from the word go, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo sought to put people who understood the MPP's philosophy, who understood what the party believes and thinks, in charge. And in doing so, you would find that many people in positions of trust, many people in positions of responsibility now are people with at least a sense of background of the MPP and where we are coming from. And yet, at the end of the day, when you do that, you also have the difficulty then about who is preeminent. So, of course, Mr. A, who I used to be with, has been favored to lead. What about me? And if me is not magnanimous and me will not wait for his or her turn, then you have a little difficulty there. But on the whole, the party is in sync with the government. On the whole, the grassroots of the party believe that what we are doing for the people of the Republic is more important than their personal gain. And therefore, we are on course.
Now, typically for a governing party, there's always a thin line, right? In trying to make sure the structures of the party work, it is not neglected while in government. How have you been able to manage that?
We have continued to pursue and improve what we came to meet, which is that at a certain informal level, the party leadership is very close to the top leadership of the government. in the New Patriotic Party, for example, our constitution demands that the sitting president and past president be part of our governing structure. So the sitting president is a member of our steering committee. And when the president comes to steering committee, I can assure you that he comes as a guest of the chairman and the general secretary. He doesn't come to be in charge of the meeting. So that is how you manage the structure. So at a national level, you have the government, which is clearly headed by His Excellency President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. The government comes out of the MPP's victory at the election 2016. And then, right now, the party itself, when it meets, has His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo sitting in steering committee as an invited member of the steering committee, not as the head of the steering committee, but as a member of the steering committee, able to offer advice, able to contribute to the decisions, able to vote on the decisions, but they are decisions of the party. It's the chairman of the party who heads the steering committee. So it's a symbiotic process. We just have to continue improving it so that party impacts government policy, and government policy reflects the needs of the people which the party represents.
Does it mean that at least we have an officer or two represented at the governance level, even though, of course, it's not stated in the constitution? Can you, for example, have a party where maybe a general secretary or a chair in cabinet just to carry information or to ensure information flow, so to speak?
I am glad you used the word informal, because the notion of cabinet is that it's a constitutional instrument and it has defined membership and otherwise. When cabinet meets, it also has the power and authority to co-opt people to come in, non-voting members who can contribute to the debate and reflect the issues on the ground. And so, yes, pursuant to that, the general secretary and chairman of the party are expected to attend cabinet meetings.
Well, my question is devoid of any mischief at all. I just wanted to know, so that, because typically what happens is that when parties are in power, the grassroots and the middle level supporters, so to speak, seem to think that it's only the top people who are enjoying, whilst sometimes for the grapevine, you get to find that really even the top leadership necessarily may not be that close to the country administration. So that's why I asked the question. So
forgive me if my answer made you feel like you are being mischievous.
Okay.
Normally you are mischievous, but not this morning.
Well,
but yes, your observation is very, very critical, because it's a fact that a lot of people assume that once you are in government, certain privileges, benefits should come to you automatically, and that those benefits and privileges depend on your standing in government. It is not quite the case. The general secretary doesn't go to cabinet for his personal opportunity. He goes to cabinet to protect the party's position. And the party includes all the party, elected party officers, co-opted members, adherents, sympathizers, grassroots persons. Everybody is a part of the party. At the end of the day, what distinguishes us? Cabinet must have policies that benefit the entire nation. It's not party-based. Cabinet must have policies that impact and benefit the entire nation. And then, beyond that, within that raft of policies, the party which is in power must find its level. And individuals within the party must determine whether or not they are getting over and above the national average of benefits, and if so, whether they are entitled to a certain above-the-line benefit. And if we get to the point where we all appreciate that the government which is delivering is a government which is meant to deliver for all, then your pride is in being able to work hard to put your party in power, not necessarily the above-the-line average benefit that you as an individual will get. But the pride that you have put a government in power, a government that is delivering, a government that is functional enough to solve the problems of your neighbor, who may not necessarily be a frontline MPP person, but who deserves those things as a person in Ghana who votes for their personal welfare as well.
You know, Imani first conducted the manifesto, the content of it, and looked at the output of the deliverables and pegged some percentage. Then we also had the president, the vice president also coming in. And lastly, we had this. They also did same during the NDC administration as well. So my question is, how do you as party administrators, members at all levels, make sure that you are not lost in the fanfare that usually would accompany the government administrators, as in the party people when they do the travels, giving them the accolades, so that you tend to guide and mark them by what you as party promise those who voted for you or the general voter population.
I wish. Will you be in Cape Coast?
No, I'm not. I will not be.
You have a crew in Cape Coast?
Yes, we do have a great team led by Evans Mensah, MFA.
Okay.
We have Daniel Datsun.
I'll be talking to Evans, and I hope Evans is listening to you, because you see, we are developing a complex web of relationships as we continue to consolidate democracy in this country. Who are the assessors of progress? Because it would appear that every individual assessor, be it an organization or a person of progress, have their own indices. So who are the ultimate beneficiaries of the assessment and the indices that are developed by different people? It is a matter that is up in the air. So the question of what a political promise is and its validity is also up in the air, because what is a political promise? A political promise, I believe, is a policy deliverable. You promise the people, I am going to do A, B, C, D when you're not in charge. When you are in charge, you have to translate that into a policy deliverable, which depends severally on resource availability, human capacity, even acceptability once you want to implement it. Because anytime you implement public policy, a section of the population diminishes and a section rises. So you have to even now begin to determine who benefits the most and who is diminished the most. So the question of promises and whether we have achieved them or not is always a very, very serious qualitative analysis. So we welcome analysis from Imani, other think tanks, CDP, IBEG. We also welcome critique from the opposition. But obviously you will realize that critique from the NDC will be self-serving. They actually said we had achieved only 14% of our manifesto promises, having found over 680 promises that we don't really realize we made. But they are entitled to their critique. We, as a governing party, have a greater burden. We cannot just trumpet our promises. We have to justify them because we are in charge and the people are seeking it from us. So for us, it is more difficult because we have to segment and segregate the population. Who is getting what from our policies? And are they getting enough? Are they the right target group? Should we be doing more in certain areas? These are all matters that go up regularly, governance situation, before cabinet. But the bottom line is leadership. What you emphasize, what you de-emphasize, what you invest in, what you don't invest in with first resource, it demands leadership. Strong, decisive, bold, listening leadership. Sometimes a leadership may implement something and be compelled, listening to voices, to withdraw it, like the luxury tax. Which we initiated and withdrew. Like the towing fee, which we came to meet as a law, which ought to be implemented, but in attempt to implement, realization that may not serve the larger community, which we then held on to. So it is a variable process, but the bottom line is that the majority of the voters must believe, trust that they are the right group of people. And in this case, the New Patriotic Party leadership under the President, His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
So typically on Saturday, what will we be seeing?
On Saturday morning, there will be a National Council meeting to kick off the exercise. And then after that, we will have the Manifesto Launch. And the Manifesto Launch will cover about 3 segments. The first segment being speaking to the sectors, and then the second segment being an overall view, and then the third segment being the launch itself. And you have different personalities involved with the 3 segments. We hope the majority of Ghanaians, local and international, can join us on various electronic media platforms. But this will be restricted to a live audience encompasses all who are listening on other media. But in terms of the human being, because of the protocols, the attendance will be very limited.
Yeah. Okay. We wish you all the best. We're here with you throughout the period, so we know what's going to happen. But thank you. We will get more updates subsequently on other programming on the channel. Well, so that's Yaw Buaben, a member of Parliament for Adenta.